Hey there. So my next guest, really funny guy, really interesting guy, got a lot going on. So we talk mainly about one of his projects, but he's got all kinds of businesses on the side and all kinds of advice that he's really doling out in this episode. So this is definitely one I genuinely believe you guys are going to enjoy. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. I have Gary Glynn. Hey there, Gary. How's it going?
It's going very well. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Where are you hail from at the moment, Gary?
I am from southeastern Oklahoma, a little town called Quinton, Oklahoma. I currently reside in northeastern Oklahoma, a little college town called Tahlequah, Oklahoma. But currently I am up in Cincinnati, Ohio on a construction project. I work on the road in construction. And so I'm in the Cincinnati vicinity, I guess. And so it's pretty nice, pretty a little bit of rain this morning, a little bit of thunderstorms, but got 18 holes of golf in a little bit ago, and just got in from the golf course.
Fantastic. All right. Now I'm going to ask you eventually, what is it you're doing up and traveling around and all that?
Absolutely.
But before I get there, I start every interview with a single question. So I'm going to ask you, just like I ask everybody else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Gary?
Can you go negative? Well, talking to people, they'd probably say I was different, but I mean, everyone has their eccentric behaviors. But as far as weird, I am the least weird person I think that you will ever meet. I try to be as normal as possible.
Okay. Well, I'm going to flip the script on you. I'm going to ask you, how do you define normal?
You know, I mean, I'm a regular Joe. I mean, I wake up, go to work, not, try to provide for my family. I just am what I am, I guess. And like I said, I'm like we was talking before we came online, I'm 6'7", 6'8", so I stick out like a sore thumb. So my entire life I have tried to blend in with my surroundings and blend in with others. And so I've never want attention on me. So I would think being quote unquote weird would bring attention to myself. And so, I just try to be middle of the path.
I love it. So Gary, I'm not quite as tall as you are. I'm only 6'4" or so, but how does it feel having to look down on people all the time?
Is that a double entendre there? No, it's nice. My poor wife, she's 5'2"-ish, 5'3"-ish. She's going to watch this, and then she's going to call me and gripe at me and say that I shouldn't say how tall she is. But it has its advantages. Of course, ducking through most doorways is an automatic response for me. But in a professional standpoint, I think that it has had its advantages, because I think that people do look up to you, and then they assume a certain amount of strength and a certain amount of I don't know, sway, I guess. I don't know what to say,
influence,
but yeah, exactly. So it has its advantages for sure.
Okay, wonderful. All right, now before I kind of really get into your background, what you're doing as a business owner and all that, this is the Gamerpreneur. So I need your gaming cred. When did you first start playing video games?
Very early on. My first memory of video gaming was with the Intellivision system, Burger Time. And then, what was that game with the, anyway, where you're the jungle guy that's jumping on alligators and things like that.
Is that Pitfall, Harry?
Oh my God. Pitfall, yes. So that's kind of my earliest memories. And then, of course, Nintendo Entertainment System came out, Mario Brothers and things like that. That was kind of my big foray into video gaming. And then, of course, Super Nintendo, Sega, so on and so forth, all the way up until the current iteration of PS4 and Xbox One, and of course you get PC. I game on PC here and there as well, time permitting. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
Okay.
been
What
a
do you play today, Gary?
storied career. Um, uh, Marvel Puzzle Quest is life, which is Marvel Puzzle Quest, which is a actual, I guess, a game on your phone, mobile gaming. Excuse me, thank you. And then, which takes up a lot of my spare time. And then I am a Destiny 2 addict, I guess you could say. That takes up a lot of my free time in the evening. And just recently finished The Last of Us Part 2 for PS4, which I know there was a lot of controversy and things along those lines, but it's a beautiful game. It is a purest example of video games as art that you will ever find, besides The Last of Us Part 1. And so that's kind of, in the last few months, that's been the majority of my gaming experience.
Wonderful. All right. So you've had the full gamut, basically, of every game that's ever come out. If you had to
Absolutely.
choose one as your all-time favorite, which one is it?
Secret of Mana for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System is by far my favorite game of all time. I got into it actually by mistake. I thought it was going to be a Zelda type clone, top-down perspective, which Zelda used to be in the old days, and so I thought it was going to be, oh cool, it's another type of Zelda. Well, it is, but it isn't, and it was actually a very my foray into true role-playing games, and of course the story and the background and the characters as you learn the world. It was one of probably the most beautiful stories I've ever experienced, and to this day, I still, about once every 2 or 3 years, will break it out and play it.
That's fantastic. I will have to admit, I've never actually beaten it myself. I have attempted many times,
Yes.
and I don't know, it's the mana games. I just have never been able
Yes.
to get it. I've tried all kinds of them, and it's just not my cup of tea.
Well, the greatest thing about it is because it was a role-playing game, which is usually especially a Japanese role-playing game, was typically a one-player experience. But if you had another controller or the splitter, you could actually play with 3 players simultaneously. So that might be the key to getting through it for you is getting a second person on the other controller for you.
I got a toddler. I might be able to do that.
Actually, my son and I, we got to a certain point. Of course, I had to go off onto another project, but we have a save point, and so he and I have been playing it, and it was very, very cool to see him. Because it's not pixels, it's sprites, and so the graphics kind of hold up because of the color palette and things like that. To see him's like, oh gosh, this is fun. This is a good game. I really like it. And seeing him experience it for the first time, like I experienced it, except for he's got a co-pilot that knows where to go and not have to waste a lot of time. It was very interesting. It's very fun.
I love it. Okay, so Gary, what do you do?
Okay, so I work in the oil and gas industry as a construction inspector, and so oil and gas companies bring us on to oversee and manage their capital projects, typically construction. It could be anywhere from upgrading a existing infrastructure to provide more capacity for customers, delivery via pipelines and things like that. And that's my day job. I am also delving into profit outside additional income for my family and I. And I am a medical cannabis farmer, grower, and I also own a dispensary. And so we have a means of moving that product as well as wholesaling to other potential dispensaries or processors as well. So depending on the day of the week depends on how busy and how stressed out I am, as you can probably imagine.
Very cool. That's a lot going on. It's kind of like, it seems like they come from different worlds. You got oil and gas and
Absolutely,
cannabis on
absolutely.
one side. Does anybody give you any cred for that?
Most people that I've grown up around, friends and colleagues, whenever they find out that I am in the cannabis industry, they're like, really, you of all people? But it's strictly a business opportunity and a business venture, and I mean, it, it's it's another opportunity to provide additional income outside of the industry that I'm in. And of course, I went to school to be a teacher, and so it's very night and day. Not only the cannabis industry that I'm in, but also the oil and gas industry that I'm in. Versus went to school to be a high school history teacher, but never just said no.
Walk us through what happened, because that seems like quite the jump to go from teacher to oil and gas
hmm
and then
Well,
entrepreneur.
the oil and gas is a family. It's this side of it is very family driven. So, my father ushered me in begrudgingly and fitfully, allowed me to follow in his footsteps a little bit. He's got three sons, and he always swore that he did the same thing that I'm doing to provide for his family so that they wouldn't have to sacrifice the way that he did. But I always enjoyed traveling with him and seeing new places, meeting new people, seeing new things. And so I had the bug very early on. Um, I like it. I enjoy it.
Okay. Well, how does that transition from you to being a teacher into the business?
Um, I went to school and thought I mistook my passion for that was a hobby, as in my love for history and things like that. I thought I could translate that into a profession. It don't always work that way, and so I learned really soon that you take a student loan out, and eventually they want that back. And so and I was a non-traditional student, and so my wife, she was in school with me, and then we had our son at the time, and so we wanted to uh, set roots, buy a house, try to live the American dream. And on a teacher salary, that wasn't going to be possible. And so I started exploring different avenues.
Okay, wonderful. So, can you break down your day to day? What do you do on these oil fields or these gas fields or these pipelines?
Well,
What was it you're doing?
so so we are strictly transport, and so
Okay.
the roughnecks and the drillers and things like that, they gather it all together, and then we ship it, and we provide a means and methods for that ability to do that. So I oversee quality control, quality assurance. We have books, spec books that are several inches thick that we have to abide to, that are federal code, company standards, company specifications, federal standards, so on and so forth. And my team and I ensure that the contractor that is doing the work is doing it correctly. So part of our job is to quality control, quality assurance, but we also help control cost, budget, things like that. And then also too, we try to minimize the client's what I call mitigate possible litigation. And so, make sure that everybody's being safe, everybody's being environmentally sensitive. And then, of course, then the spec and everything is being followed, because the last thing we need is, of course, these things are running through people's neighborhoods, running through people's pastures, running through people's farms or businesses. So the last thing we need is, which has happened in the past, is a fatality. And so luckily, the oil and gas industry in the past few years, because of certain things that have happened, are being more proactive instead of reactive. And that's where I'm actually fortunate to be working right now is the client that I'm working for is being proactive, upgrading existing infrastructure and providing a more safe and reliable means to deliver their product.
Very interesting. So let me get this straight. So it's you largely do a lot of paperwork then.
Yes.
It sounds like you observe a lot, but it's mostly paperwork. And I think
Yeah.
people who think of oil and gas, they're thinking, guys on a rig, right? So
No, yeah, exactly. Mostly, the thing is we have to provide what's called full traceability from the atoms that whatever that is created, say a piece of steel pipe. We have to provide full traceability from the day that it's smelted, all the way to the day that it's welded and put in service. So, material reports, transportation documents, welding documents, handling documents, coding documents. This all has to be kept and filed. X-rays all have to be kept and filed ad infinitum, and then for the life of that line. So I have to take this and this and this and this and make sure that it's correct, and then file it where it needs to go. It's a very intensive and extensive process.
very interesting. How does somebody get into this line of work? Like, where do they apply, or what kind of credentials do they need? Like, what's up?
A lot of times, again, like I said, it's mostly word of mouth, friends and family. In the northern states, there's a lot of union contractors that if you join, labor union, Teamster union, operators union, or a welding union of some sort, you can get in through that way. But like I said, usually it's, we pick up probably say 10% of people, like when a big project comes through, a lot of locals say we'll have to hire 60-70% of locals to fulfill, say if it is union, to fulfill that union's criteria. And then when it moves on, we'll probably keep 4 or 5% of those guys or gals that, hey, I really like this work. I want to continue on. So, it's kind of and then you just follow the work wherever it goes.
How do you like that life?
It has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is I am able to provide for my family, to provide and for them to be able to do things that even whenever I was younger, even though my dad did this work, even we weren't able to do. So the ability for them to do those things and me to be able to, even as a kind of sometimes an outside observer, I get to enjoy them getting to enjoy what they do, which I was never able to do whenever I was their age. The disadvantage is I'm by myself right now. I haven't, of course, with the shutdown and the pandemic, I haven't seen my family since first part of April, maybe the last part of March. But again, whenever I was young, we would talk to my dad, once a week on a payphone. But now with modern technology, I just before we hopped on here, I was FaceTiming my family and got to see the dogs, got to see the wife, got to see the kids, and so check on them. And it's a lot easier now than I can imagine what it was for my father when he is my age doing this.
Absolutely, I understand. I did 4 months away from my family as well, and so like phone call every day, video chat every day.
Yes.
Okay, so Gary, what makes you good at what you do? What unique skills do you have, or what resources do you draw from to be able to do a good job?
My first, I guess, I'm a computer guru, I guess, and so find myself being I'm proficient in AutoCAD, Esri GIS, Microsoft Office, Excel, and things like that. So those are really blueprints and foundations for what we do. And then I don't know. I'm good at what I do because my I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy what I do. And so therefore I think that my enthusiasm and my passion actually tends to be kind of catches on a certain way to a certain degree. And then of course, yeah, I'm not necessarily a extrovert in any shape, matter, or form. I'm actually very much an introvert, but I am able to communicate clearly, concisely, and so people know exactly what my expectations are. And I think people respect that to a certain degree and actually enjoy it to even further degree. So I think that's kind of my blueprints for my life.
Very cool. I love it. Okay, so you've been doing this for a while, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to date you, but I'll say if you could go back to age 21,
Okay.
and you travel back in time and you get to see your former self, age 21, little Gary. You
Yes.
go up to, because I'm sure he was a little bit shorter.
Probably a little bit taller.
All right, you go to little Gary and you're like, look, little Gary, this is everything that's going to happen to you over the next several years of your life. This is it from here until where I'm at. But here's the one thing that you need to know. What do you tell yourself?
Wow. My advice to my past self would be don't sweat the small stuff. And also, too, because I have been very guilty of this in the past, is life is too short to hold a grudge. And so, a lot of times, I've been slighted and slated in life. And and it's actually been almost a cancer that grows in you from time to time. If you feel that you are wronged, and there might be a bigger picture that you don't get from it, being chosen or someone being chosen over you whenever you felt like you might have been the right person for the job or the position or whatever. Young me would have held a grudge or taken it personally. Oh, something must be wrong with me because I didn't get chosen for whatever reason. It's not 100% my fault. It's a 50-50 decision. And so for me to take it personally is too much. I mean, waste of energy.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, what advice would you have for someone who's, say, 21? Maybe they're still in college, maybe just out of college in their first job. What do you have to say for them looking forward for the next couple decades?
You deserve nothing. Life is not fair. The only way that you are ever going to achieve anything is if you earn it honestly. And so, and of course, earning it honestly will also help you sleep at night.
Beautiful. Okay. So you have, it sounds like a couple businesses on the side.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for the entrepreneur out there who's just looking to get started?
Research. And when you think you have it, read more, research more, ask more questions. If I would have known now if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have fell over, tripped, stumbled, however you want to, whatever you want to say. So it was a long, hard road to being where we're at now, and still are fighting and learning as we go. So the best way to do it, I would say, and of course, I did use a mentor of some degree, but still surround yourself with people that know the industry, know the work, and there's the only dumb questions the question you don't ask. And like I said, if I would have known then what I know now, I think we would be in a lot better position. So
I absolutely love that answer, research, because it's so important to know upfront what you're doing. However, I'm going to flip it just slightly on you. But what about that concern about analysis paralysis? Can't you just spend too much time researching and not have time doing anything?
Oh, yes. Your eyes cross, you fall asleep and things like that. You do get analysis paralysis, but maybe in that way that you get analysis paralysis, well, maybe that because you get analysis paralysis because maybe that's business or is not for you.
Okay. I like
So
that.
yeah, yeah.
I've actually seen that. It was not the right industry for somebody, and they just sat there studying and studying and studying. Like, you got to do a deal eventually.
Yep,
Okay. So, Gary, I really do appreciate this. Can I humble you for a moment, if possible?
absolutely.
Okay. So, I believe that we learn the most in life from our failures. So, when we screw up royally and everything comes
Royally.
crashing down on our head, that we got to like get through the rubble, dust ourselves off, figure out what went wrong, and then fix it. So, what was your biggest failure in life, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, my biggest failure in life would be I had an opportunity to take a position with a company that would have probably set me up to be well off. I mean, be stable, and I turned it down. The reason why is because I think that I was at the time I wasn't mature. I didn't feel that I was mature enough. Um, Turns out, well, why did that person want to hire me if he didn't feel that I was the best kind of candidate for that position? But I didn't see that, so I had blinders on, and I was chasing the money, chasing the work, and this guy's like, hey, I'd want to take you under my wing and bring you into the fold and show you the ins and outs of what we do, and I didn't take that. And I regret that to this day. And so, but live and learn.
Absolutely. I thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Now, what is something you're working on improving in yourself today?
I'm constantly improving. I am so currently I am studying and finishing my CWI, which is a certified welding inspector, which is what it sounds like. You are certified to inspect welding, which you would think, well, it's, what's so important about it? Well, try to take the classes and you'll find out really, really quick. It's metallurgy, it's science, it's lasers, it's electrons, it's fusion. It's a lot of things that, of course, I'm around it every day. And so I have a general understanding of it, but now I am trying to wrap my head around the entire big picture and actually break down the smaller details as well. That's what I'm doing currently. And then come next year, early in January, I am going to the University of Texas, or Texas A&M, and going to start their Masters of Jurisprudence in Energy Law program, which is it's through their law school, but it's a master's program. So it's kind of a whiz bang boom. You take, law courses, but they are not necessarily, they don't apply towards
Yeah, they're not really law classes.
Yes, exactly.
They're so easy.
Yeah. It's an MBA law. Yeah. So, but yes, sir. Like I said, it's not a law school at all, but that'll allow me to actually expand my horizons, learn new things, and then of course, if I ever choose to move into a different sector or a different position within this industry, or even renewables or green, I think that it will be to my advantage.
Fantastic. Well, good for you, Gary. Keep on rocking it.
Thank you.
All right. So, Gary, this has been a wonderful interview. How do people reach out to you? How do they find you if they want to?
We are Medicinal Marvels in Quinton, Oklahoma, for all of your medical marijuana needs. I'm not big on social networking or anything like that. I mean, check out Medicinal Marvels on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. But other than that, I'm just Gary Glynn somehow, some way on some type of social network. I don't.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we wrap up, are there any final thoughts you want to share? Anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
No, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's I'm nervous as can be, and I am both humbled and thankful at the same time, and I appreciate it.
Oh, you did fantastic. No need to be nervous. It was just a nice little conversation.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Gary Glynn, we genuinely appreciate you coming on with us today.
Awesome. And everybody, please be kind to one another.
Yes. And for everybody else, I will remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.